Hello and welcome to episode 52. That's 2 years worth of episodes, by the way, if you're counting, which Jay is.
I literally told him that before the show.
Of the
But also-
RetroSlot podcast.
Take two.
Take two. I literally
Briar's a
clicked
sneaky
on
one.
to be live, and as I clicked on live, Jay's like, "You're not live yet, are you?" I'm like, "Oh no," and I clicked back off.
Sneaky man.
Whoops! What are you gonna do? We got an
you
exciting
doing, man?
episode. We got a ton of retro news. I've got a couple of stories to tell about stuff that about the Analog Pocket. Honestly, it finally came. We're gonna be talking about Masters of Darkness, and I suspect talking about the Master System a little bit in general because this game kind of opened up a little bit of a curiosity of like. The Master System to me was like that other system that was around when the NES was around, but like I didn't know anybody who had it, so it always just seemed like this like kind of second best. Even though like a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's actually more powerful than the NES." I'm like, yeah, whatever. There's no fucking games. I don't know who's got it, so fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like as I've been exploring that library, it's become interesting. So love to talk about that. We got a lot to talk about today, Jay. You've also been doing a ton of charity work, and you've got a new chair, a new racing chair for gaming.
I'm getting ready for all the flipping 360s no scope snipes and stuff.
That's right.
Courtesy of Secret Labs and St. Jude. Yes. I don't know. It's a very stiff chair, but my butt's breaking it in. I'm getting
That's
it.
good. I think it takes time. You want stiffer material because it's more supportive in the long run. I think if
That's
it's
what
too
she said.
soft, you just ended up sitting on the wood and underneath the foam, right?
Yeah. Sit
I
here
don't
and
know.
all
I've actually
podcast
never had a
without
gaming
thinking
chair. My
much.
kids have gaming chairs. They both like them a lot.
I vowed when I started streaming, 7 whatever years ago, I was like, I will never have a racing chair. It's
Yeah.
so stereotypical, yada yada. I guess I didn't buy this. This was part of an incentive from the St. Jude charity stuff, and it's the first chair from that I've kept.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'll allow myself maybe to keep.
I think it's extra cool that it's got the St. Jude logo on it, to be honest with you.
100%
It
front and
makes
back.
it pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better too, right? Like over time, the like Secret Lab and companies like that have gotten better at making those, but still kept
probably.
the styling.
Yeah.
So, I don't have the notes pulled up. What do you want to talk about first? I have a couple of discussion topics. You've got a discussion topic. What do you want to start with? Oh, also, I do want to notice, I'm very sorry to interrupt. I do want to mention that we're not going to have an episode at the regular scheduled time 2 weeks from today, which is like a day or two after Christmas, but we will be back in the new year. But it'll be essentially a month from today.
Yep.
So we should pick a long game so we can sink our teeth into.
Okay. I had a game in mind. I'll have to think about that over the podcast now. Because I was thinking Christmas, New Year.
Sure. Oh, yeah, like a theme. Oh,
So,
interesting. Die
I
Hard,
don't
the
know.
video game.
You spoiled it. That was literally the choice. It's fine.
Really?
Yeah. It was. There's an NES Die Hard game.
I didn't even know there was a Die Hard game for the NES. Is it good?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Probably
No.
not, right?
But it's one of those rare, expensive ones. Maybe we could do 2 games. We could do that as like a joke game and then do a serious one. I don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
All right. We'll
Think
think
about it. We got an hour.
Yep.
Discussion topic. Shoot. What do you want to start with?
Let's talk about the Pocket.
Okay. So, yeah, I finally got it. I actually played all of this week's game, Master of Darkness, on it. I got the white one. I just thought the white one looked cool. When I'm actually playing it, it does not register to me that it's white or black. I'm just looking at the screen.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I was a little worried that the white border around the screen would be a little distracting, and as opposed to like a black border that would just blend in with the darkness like behind the screen. It really doesn't matter to me at all. Ergonomically, I think I really like it. I'm surprised how much I liked it. I was convinced that I was going to have to get some kind of grip because my hands would get tired, but I find it actually very comfortable to hold. The D-pad is really good. The buttons feel really good. The trigger buttons up here by the cartridges, I'm not like a huge fan of, but I don't actually anticipate me playing a ton of games that need them, or I'll just have to get used to them. I'm not sure. Maybe grips would help with that because I wouldn't have to hold it so much with my fingers, and I'd be able to hit these. But actually, if you put a cartridge in, it's harder to hit them, right?
Do they even really have grips for them yet, or do you just use the Game Boy Color ones?
No, I've seen grips out there. 3D printed stuff though, so I don't know how good or comfortable it is.
I'm still waiting on a phone style like drop case. You know, like one of the and there's nothing out there that's not 3D printed.
Yeah. I think maybe it's got to sell a bunch for somebody to actually make something like that, or Analog's gonna have to make it themselves. The standout to me on this thing are two things. One, the screen is magnificent. Like, it really looks so sharp, and it's very responsive. I actually found out this is the same screen that they use in the what's the name of the Steam VR headset?
Oh, the Oculus.
No, that's the Meta one.
The Vive.
No, that's the HTC one.
I didn't realize there was a Steam one.
Yeah, there's one made by Valve themselves. It'll come to me. And it's actually the same screen they use in those, which accounts for like the weird resolution, and also might account for like why it's so hard for them to produce these things in mass, is because they have to get those screens, because it's a really high resolution screen for how small it is. Mm-hmm. But man, it just looks awesome. I played through all of Master of Darkness on here. And frankly, it was awesome to play it on here because I could play it portably. I could just if like my wife wanted to watch something on TV, I could take it off of the dock, play on the couch, just watching it. It's got, I think it's got a little headphone jack in here. I didn't actually try it out. I just put the volume down real low when I was playing it when she was around. She doesn't mind that kind of thing. And then when I'm by myself, I can just plug it into the dock and play it on the big screen, which is really convenient. It's just like, it's ultra convenient. And because it's running FPGA, and it's got the new Open FPGA software, which basically has unlocked this thing for developers. I've also been playing like a ton of games, basically just trying stuff out. I tried out the Neo Geo. I actually had a bunch of trouble getting the Neo Geo to run at first. I guess that core for this thing is pretty still early beta. But after tweaking it a little bit and downloading like some extra files, I was able to get that running, and that's pretty incredible to be running Neo Geo games on a handheld device. Like, sure. We've come a long way. I played a few Super NES games, some Mega Drive games, or some Genesis games. It just looks great. It plays great. Like, everything seems just pretty good about it. And being able to just load all your ROMs onto an SD card, the setup for all that stuff was so easy. It took a few minutes, other than the problems I had with the Neo Geo core. It really took a few minutes to get up and running. It's very easy to update all that stuff. There's some news about that later. I'm really impressed with this device. I'm going to order another one. I'm going to order a black one in addition.
I've seen them on Mercari and eBay going for very small markup from like what you can get. And they have them in hand, I've seen them for like $275, $300. Like in hand. So for a small markup, you can get them sooner than waiting a year or whatever.
Yeah. Well, since I have one, I'm in no hurry, so I'll just order one. I got a couple of things I want to order from Analog right now, so I'll just do like one big order from them.
Maybe it's good that you had to wait a while, because now it's a fully baked product with all the software support too, instead of, when I got mine, there wasn't very much support for it yet.
All it did was play cartridges, and you have a pretty big Game Boy collection, but I don't. I am not a big handheld gamer. I've become more of a handheld gamer in the last few years, just because it fits my lifestyle better, and I've learned about kind of playing on the couch while, being able to play games on the couch while my wife is watching TV allows us to be in the same room and kind of technically be together, but also doing our own what makes us happy while we're together, which is kind of cool.
I need to get better.
I'm really impressed with this thing.
I'm not a very good partner like that.
No.
My wife or Ted, Wiferton on Saturday was like, "Do you want to watch something together?" And I was just like, no, because I know it's gonna happen. I know we're gonna spend 20 minutes trying to decide what to watch, and then as soon as we start watching it, she's gonna watch about 10 minutes of it and then pass out. So
Oh yeah.
I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was just like, "You should go to sleep. You should get some rest because you've not been getting enough sleep." Um, but no, I need to get better about that stuff, and I don't really like sitting out on the couch either.
No?
I don't know. I'm weird. No,
What's wrong with the couch?
I don't know. It's an old couch.
Just not a couch sitter? Oh, it's the couch. It's a
We need a
specific
new couch. Yeah,
Oh yeah. You gotta get a new couch then.
it's a 15-year-old couch at this point.
You get a Secret Labs couch.
I did. They have these. They have these like metal desks,
Mm-hmm.
like computer desks that are like super next gen, where they have like magnets built in, and you can have like the cable, management and stuff. My cable management's a mess. Obviously, I
Oh.
don't have $1,500 to spend on a desk, but they looked pretty cool. I don't know.
I honestly I don't see how anybody can stream video games, especially if you have a 2 PC setup and have nice cable management. I don't honestly think it's possible. I have
Well,
tried
mine's a rat
hard.
nest.
Yeah,
Mine's
so
a
is mine.
rat's
It's
nest.
it's very
Bad.
difficult because
Yeah.
you got 2 PCs, probably a console or many consoles, like depending on kind of what you do. HDMI splitters, HDMI like like switches. You got maybe if you're real rich, you got a HDMI matrix of some sort. You got multiple capture cards. You got cables that going into one computer, then going into the next computer. It's like ridiculous. And then like you get it all set up, you cable manage it really nicely, zip tie it all together. It looks fucking fantastic. And then a month later, you're like, oh shit, why doesn't the PlayStation 5 work anymore? And you have to tear it all apart to try and like trace down like a cable. And it's because you're like, like the fucking HDMI cables go bad. I don't know if you guys know this. They just die like over time. Like I
Sounds
don't
like
know.
sounds like just sounds like a parallel to humanity. People just die.
People just die. Me and Tefty have talked about this at length. It's like the woes of trying to like cable manage. It's like at some point you just got to give up the ghost and just like buy like a black cloth to go under your desk so you just don't see it anymore.
Fire hazard +5.
Yeah. All right. Oh, fireproof cloth maybe. I don't know. It's bad. It's hard. Yeah. And I'm stupid. I've got like every console made since like 1986 hooked up over here and 2 CRTs. I got 2 4K TVs plus a 4K monitor. Like, what the fuck am I even doing over here? This is ridiculous.
You don't use any of those consoles either. All you use
yeah, that's the other thing.
The Mister.
I just use the Mister all the time. I honestly do. If I have the cartridge, I like to play the game on the cartridge. In fact, for this week for Master of Darkness, I don't know if you were able to get a copy of this. I'll find out later when we do the pickups, I guess. But I was not able to get a copy because there's like 2 copies available on the internet, and one of them got sold out from under me. Might have been you.
No, it was not. I did not go for it because dealing with the PAL and the Famicom and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into that wheelhouse because it's European only release. I do want to get the Game Gear version though.
Yeah,
the Vampire Master of Darkness. I just haven't had a chance because the last 2 weeks were kind of.
I think it's a little cheaper too, and there is a US release for that. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my analog pocket. Yeah, I'm really impressed with it. I mean, obviously it plays. The cartridge is great. I had to find all my Game Gear cartridges that are buried in my closet somewhere. But it was fun to pull those all out again. Once again, made me feel bad because my Game Gear doesn't work anymore. I'm sure it's like a blown capacitor or something.
Yeah, replace the capacitors.
Yeah, so I really should take care of that because I feel like once those capacitors start leaking, you could actually really damage the thing. So
I think it's only like I want to say like $20 to get a new set, but then you have to solder them in and all that stuff.
Yeah, that'd be a fun project. I think a good weekend project.
I was gonna ask, did you play the Game Gear version on your pocket or the Master System version?
I played the Master System. I dabbled in the Game Gear a little bit. I think for the most part,
the screen in.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common with Game Gear and Master System games because essentially they're the same hardware, but the screen obviously, the resolution of the screen on the Game Gear wasn't as high as like a television. So they just kind of zoomed in on everything, which works well for some games. I think it worked okay for Master of Darkness, but since I could play the Master System game, I did play the Master System game.
Sure. Okay. I played it on the website again.
Did you? That's
I
really
just
working
searched.
for you.
Yeah. No, I mean it worked fine.
What website was it?
I want to say like retrogame.tz or gz or something. Basically, I just searched Master of Darkness, or it was Play Master of Darkness Master System, and it was like the first link.
That's
I'm
kind
not
of incredible that you can just go to a website and play the game. That's pretty neat.
I'm not a proponent of emulation. You know, I try to get cartridges where I can, but
Yeah.
it used the plugged-in controller. All I had to do was maximize the screen, and I was good to go. Played out
That's
the
pretty neat,
speakers. It's great.
honestly.
Yeah. Technology.
Latency didn't bug you at all?
No, not at all.
No.
Nope.
That's amazing. Yeah, I played it mostly on the Pocket, and I was super impressed with it. Like, it felt very responsive. It looked great. I was able to just, like, as I'm playing, pause the game or save state the game, which is nice. You know, because obviously if you're playing a game and you know it's a portable game and you got to stop playing, it's nice to be able to just save it where you're at and then pick it up and play it later.
Or if you're having trouble with the level or something.
Yeah, plug it into the dock and just boom, it's up on the screen, and I'm playing with an 8-bit do controller. It's really nice. I'm really impressed with it.
Did you what screen filter did you use for it?
For Master of Darkness?
For the Pocket. Like
none.
No, it's just the regular. Okay.
Yeah, just pure pixels. I on the Mister, I often will mess around with like different like kind of CRT filters, but I haven't done that yet on the Pocket.
Gotcha. Yeah, well they have the built-in ones that you can mess with.
Yeah, I saw them on the Game Boy games, but I didn't see it on the Master System.
Oh, okay, makes sense. I haven't done any of the other core stuff yet. I really haven't done anything with it yet.
Yeah. When you do get around to it, it's pretty easy. It's literally like 5 minutes. You do have to find your cores, but there's a whole archive on the internet. Like literally called the internet.
The internet.
Yeah, it's super easy to find the games, and I mean, I'm really impressed. Very easy to use, very fun. I ordered a Waterfield case for it for travel. It hasn't showed up
the
yet.
Nice velvety insides. Wait,
yeah,
that sounds sexual. He's just like,
yeah.
I was just coming up with a silly fun question to ask. What's your
Yeah.
favorite sugary cereal?
This is gonna sound pretty old man, but I think it is shredded wheat with the sugar, like the frosted shredded wheat.
That's not a sugary cereal.
Talking about it's literally covered in sugar on one side of the shredded wheat.
There's too many healthy things in that.
It is not healthy. I can assure you that frosted shredded wheat is not a healthy breakfast. It is not even part of a healthy breakfast. Even no matter what they'll put in that little ad, it is literally half gluten and half sugar.
You know what those things remind me of whenever I try to eat them? I don't like them. I never have. My dad used to love them.
Yeah, I love them.
I mean, that cereal's been around forever, at least 30 years. And every time I tried to eat it, it reminded me of if you took a bale of hay and you shrunk it into tiny form, just like the amount of fibers
gotta cover it in sugar.
Chew into it. A light dusting of sugar.
It is literally caked. It is all white on one side. They don't even color the sugar unless you get like blueberry flavor or something.
I don't know.
If I have to go like real, like hardcore sugar cereal, it's Cap'n Crunch.
You can have the original Cap'n Crunch, Crunch Berries.
I'll do Crunch Berries if you're offering, but I'm not gonna say no to regular plain.
Just no berries.
I'll do berries.
I think the original.
I'm not here for the berries.
Isn't the original Crunch Cap'n Crunch with the berries though?
I don't think so.
Question.
I think the berries.
It's the yellowish
berries came later.
Rectangular.
Yeah, the mouth shredding deliciousness of Cap'n Crunch.
I'm partial to the peanut butter Cap'n Crunch.
Peanut butter Cap'n Crunch? Okay.
Yeah,
you know what my wife really likes? is the Reese's peanut butter puffs.
Yeah.
She
Sometimes.
loves those. She
Yeah.
buys boxes, 2 boxes per grocery shopping trip. And she'll eat some in a bowl with milk. Sometimes, rarely, mostly, she pours about a half a
Dry.
box into a Ziploc bag, and that is her snack bag. It's her feed bag,
Yep.
I like to call it.
Dry cereal is nice because it doesn't get soggy.
That's true. It's also dry cereal. It's like the saltines challenge to me. I'm like, I can't. I watch her like just popping this stuff into her mouth. I'm like, how are you doing that?
Cinnamon's challenge. Oh god. I've gone through phases in my life. When I was a kid, it was Count Chocula for a little while.
Okay.
I've gone through Cinnamon Toast Crunch phase.
My kids were on that for a long time.
Yeah. The thing about Cinnamon Toast Crunch, if you eat too much, it's like it's too much. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a balance there.
Sure.
I've gone through like a Cocoa Pebbles phase. Those are delicious. The Fruity Pebbles,
yeah, those are good.
Fruity Pebbles leave a film on the top of your mouth for some reason. I don't know what it is. It's like a waxy thing.
What milk? What's your milk preference?
Now?
Yeah.
Almond milk.
Oh, okay. So you've gone.
When I was a kid,
you've gone away from the cow.
Yeah, for the most part.
Completely. Okay.
I like nut juice.
Yeah. Word. I was way into almond milk before I got married, but my wife, as an animal scientist, was very much a believer in cow's milk, so I had to change my ways back to the way of the cow, the moo cow. But I think she's coming around based on newer research.
Some people like oat milk because they say that almond milk is bad for the environment or so. I haven't looked too much into it, but
I like
as we're talking, by the way, I just lost an eBay auction by $1.
Oh, son of a bitch. What was it for?
Disney's Magic Kingdom for the NES complete in box.
Magic Kingdom.
It was one of my wife's favorite games growing up, and I've been trying to find a mint copy.
Interesting.
It's not a very expensive game.
No, but you lost the eBay auction
for $1.
Right at the end, they outbid you right at the end. No,
$1 above my max bid.
They probably bid like $50 above your max bid, though, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
You know,
I'm usually okay if it's like considerably more than my bid, but if it's $1, I'm like, son of a bitch.
I've been working to get a Master of Darkness, but man, there are not a lot of them out there. People who have buy it now are asking for at least $100 for them, and the bidding is it goes up quickly once people start bidding.
Yeah, and have you tried like European? I mean, they go for about $100 complete.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing.
I got a quick discussion topic for you. What genre of video game is your weak spot? Like, what is the genre of video game that you see and you're like, oh yeah, I want to check that out?
Looter shooters.
Looter shooters? Okay.
Yeah. Anthem, right. Outriders, dude. Borderlands, fucking Destiny, all that stuff. Yeah.
I'm one of the I'm an Anthem stan over here.
Yeah. I enjoyed the 40 hours that I put into it. And then it was just like, what do I do? There's nothing left to do anymore.
If that game had gotten the kind of support that Destiny did, if it had gotten a Taken King style expansion, like a year or two,
sure.
I think that game could have been successful because the mechanics were fun, I thought.
They were working on it.
But the loot system completely sucked, and they didn't really have like an end game worked out yet. Yeah. They needed to work that out. But I thought the base, the blowing up of enemies was fun. Like that combo system that you did with your powers and your guns and the flying around, I thought was really fun. Sure. Division, do you play a lot of Division?
I don't know why, and I should probably try to get back into Division because when I first tried Division, I was really against third-person shooters. But I've given myself a chance, like I with Outriders and there's the new one, The Descendants 2, actually wasn't terrible for me. So I should give Division another chance because I know a lot of people with Division 2 and the way that it kind of redefined itself and stuff really enjoy it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
It felt a lot. I'm not a big fan of cover-based shooters, and it just very much felt like you just hide behind a box and you peek out, and then you jump to the side, do another cover, peek out, shoot. It just felt a lot like that, which is not my favorite style of gameplay.
That's fair.
Outriders was very mobile, which I think I enjoyed more.
Yeah, Outriders, like it looked like it was going to be a mobile cover shooter, but it's just like, no, don't do that.
There's other classes that like feed on just the, you know, speed and all that stuff.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely like the Metroidvania style of game. Like I hear a Metroidvania, I'm like instantly interested. I'm not necessarily going to play it. And I'm not, even if I start it, I'm not necessarily going to finish it, because the thing I hate most in those type of games is when I get so fucking lost that I cannot figure out where to go next. Like, and if I have to like look at like a YouTube like walkthrough or something, I'm like, man, they should have designed this game to point you in the at least enough of a direction to kind of get you started. I thought that was the genius of Metroid Dread, is just like, even though you constantly felt like you were exploring and learning about new stuff, but I never got like lost. You know, it was really good. All right, we got a lot of news. You want to start with the news?
Yeah, sure. Nothing like huge, but a lot of kind of smaller stories that I found that were interesting. UK collector Ben Bisley found a Sega A1 scramble training video that's acted by Michael Jackson. And if you click this link from Retro Dodo, you can watch him like, come on, everybody. Here we go into the whatever unknown. Oh no, look out. You know, like it's so if you've ever been to an arcade or like a science center or something where they have those big like motion vehicle things on hydraulics that you can get into, and it's like a space mission that you go on.
Yeah.
He's like the person who's like mission control, who's telling you what to do, what's coming up in the mission and all that stuff. And who knows what year this was, but the person got this VHS tape for like, I don't know, $350 or something like that. And it's like the only known copy of this video, which is just wild.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah.
It looks like later Michael Jackson too. Like I would say 90s Michael Jackson.
Mid 90s probably.
Yeah. You know, it'd be interesting I'd love to read like a book or like a really in-depth article about that really researches Michael Jackson and Sega's relationship. Because they
because
they
Moonwalker
kept meeting
and all that stuff.
Yeah, Moonwalker. There's also an arcade
Which is a great game, by the way.
Yeah, and then he did the music for one of the Sonic games.
Right.
Like, so they kept meeting up. Like, they obviously had a long-term relationship. Love to know more about that. I'm gonna have to watch this video after the show. This is great. This AS1 machine looks in depth. It's got like this big platform where you walk up like 4 steps and there's railings, and then it's in the middle of the platform. It looks like you could sit like 4 people abreast in there, maybe.
It's probably 2 rows of 5 or something, 4 or something like that.
And then maybe like a screen in the front.
Yep.
Massive.
It reminds me of like, you know, those kind of space simulators from like space training and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they do mission control training.
I think the only time I ever sat in something like this is like Epcot Center.
Really?
Yeah.
They have one of these at our local science center in Portland.
Really?
At OMSI, yeah.
Interesting.
The kids enjoyed it.
You know, for the kids.
Yeah. Next piece of news, and this is very surprising. Toe Jam and Earl has a movie in early development right now. Who would have thunk? Who knows if this is even going to get released, but it's in development from Amazon.
I can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine this gets out. It makes it through it, right? Because it's like, what do you make a Toe Jam and Earl video game about?
It's got to be animated, right? Like, no way it's going to be some kind of 3D.
Okay. All right. That makes it somewhat more believable.
Kind of like the Super Mario Brothers movie that's coming out.
I can't imagine it's going to have the budget the Super Mario Brothers has.
No, probably not.
We're talking more like Hanna-Barbera.
But I mean, Toe Jam and Earl in its like identity is kind of like wonky. So it being kind of weird kind of plays to its advantage, I feel like, a little bit. As long as the plot is interesting and the characters are likable enough, I think it could be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a scriptwriter, so I don't even know how you do this. Like, how do you adapt something that is so like left field? Like, the plot of this game was what? Toe Jam and Earl come to the Earth in search of funk because their planet has run out of funk. So they're here looking for hip hop music, and it's like a roguelike.
The production company is also Unanimous Media, which is owned by Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. Okay. The basketball player?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I mean, if you don't have Parliament Funkadelic in this game, like, they don't make a guest appearance.
Yeah, are we gonna do
You're
like
fucking
80s
up.
and 90s music, or are we doing like new music?
I don't
Or
know.
all of it?
What's the current funk?
I mean, God, what's his name? There's some God, the guy that performed at the Super Bowl. What's his name? Come on!
All right. Look, I'll tell you this though. If they come out with a Toe Jam and Earl video or movie, I will definitely rent it. 100%.
Sure. I'll put down the $5.
Yeah.
Watch it. Bruno Mars was the name. Yes.
Oh,
He
okay.
does a
Yeah.
lot of
There's
funk.
definitely some funk there.
Oh yeah.
That man has some funk.
Thank you, Lightbulb. Next story. We talked about this kind of briefly. Cannon Dancer, the spiritual successor of Strider,
Yeah.
has a release date, January 19th, 2023, for a whopping $29.99
Yeah.
for a digital release.
Yeah, but they are making a physical copy.
Not for $29.99, I don't believe.
No.
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe it is. It says
How much should
it's
it
going to
cost?
be. How much should it cost
Yeah.
for a digital release of a game like
Yeah.
this? $15-20 max. It's not. They're not like the. It's not like a. They're basically just bringing it. They're not. It's not an HD adaptation. It's not a remake.
Yeah,
it's
this
not
is just a port, or it's just like an emulator. Kinda,
basically.
yeah. Yeah, if you
$30
bought
seems a
this
lot.
on the Wii Shop channel, you would expect it to cost like $6 or $7, right?
I'd say I could go 10 to 13, $12.99, $9.99, something like that would be okay.
Yeah.
$15 even is justifiable for a game that never saw a stateside release. But $30?
I am 100% buying this. I was not.
You'll have
I was
to let me
not.
know.
I was not disturbed by the price at all because I just assumed it would be $30 for the physical version. But you're probably right; it'll be more for the
$30
physical.
for the physical version makes sense. I would pay $30 for the physical version, not
Yeah.
for the digital version.
But the fact that this is like a spiritual successor to Strider by the guy who actually made Strider,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna butcher this poor. Yes, I am. I'm gonna do it. Kauchi Yatsui. I think I nailed it.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, I mean, like this to me, it's like right up my alley. So I can't wait to play it. So I'll be like, I wish they said in this article like it's being published by In Games, but they don't say where it's going to be available for physical. So
No, it comes out in a month.
yeah, but the physical won't. Right, the physical you'll be able to order sometime in 2023 and receive sometime in 2024. Right.
Sure.
So I'll be waiting on the physical. I'm into this though. I'm a big fan of Strider.
I'll keep my eyes on it. You'll have to let us know how it is. I mean, it looks cool.
It does look cool. Yeah, it looks like Strider. You know?
Yeah.
It looks exactly like if they had to make a Strider game, but they couldn't use the IP.
Pretty large sprites too.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about the Analog Pocket before, and we know that they have cores for everything, but now the NES core has save states and wake resume.
Hell yeah.
Have you tried that yet?
Yes, I have, and it's marvelous. It's so nice to be able to just to use save states on the Analog Pocket. You hit the analog button. There's like a button with the analog logo on it, and just push up on the D-pad. Boom, save state. And then to load a save state, you can either hold it and it brings you to the memory screen where they're all listed. All your save states are listed. So like, for instance, with Master of Darkness, you can put one at the beginning of every level. and then like you have a level select now for Master of Darkness, or like if you get halfway through a level and you're halfway through your health and you're trying to make a save state, then you're like, I'll go back to the beginning level, try this again. Or if you just need to stop for dinner, or whatever, you get the. It's so convenient, so nice.
Just take out the AV cables, leave the power on.
That's right. Turn off the TV.
Does it have a limit? Because I remember we talked about there was like a save state limit for the Pocket. Does the Core have limits?
Boy, I don't know, because I used a ton of them to do to play Master of Darkness, and I never ran into a limit. I assume it's just saving them to the SD card. I don't know. Maybe it's got like some kind of arbitrary limit based on programming, like 100 or something.
I remember it was like 128 for the entire Core.
For the entire Core, okay.
Every game, like if you played 100 game or 128 games, you could only have like one save state per game or something like that.
That makes sense. The nice thing too is they're all listed in kind of this like memories screen, and there's screenshots of them, so you can actually like see where it is, and like you could delete them if you need to.
Sure.
Very cool. I didn't realize the NES didn't have that yet. I've been really just focused on one game since I got the Pocket. It's good that it's getting done.
We had talked about Mario Kart 64 a while ago. I don't remember when it was announced and kind of showed the opening menu, but it's now available for download.
Oh, get it quick before they take it down.
Yeah, right. And it looks great. They basically took the sprites and made them all individually HD and then put them back in. And then up-res the environments and stuff. There's a little video here.
Wow.
One of my biggest issues.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it basically looks like kind of like a Wii U, like a Mario Kart 8 almost for Wii U. The levels in the background still aren't like super high res or anything like that, but at least you can see further in the distance, like the what do they call that? The view distance or whatever. One of the biggest issues with playing Mario Kart 64 that I've come across in the last few years is just you can't see the track coming up at all. So this alleviates that problem because the view distance is a lot further.
Okay.
So
yeah, this looks super sharp. Looks great.
Yep. Wonder if you
they
can
don't have a link to download it on this article.
It's GitHub.
GitHub.
No, there is a link. So you click that link that says GitHub.
GitHub. All right, I'll
download
this.
for zip folder. Drag contents into your Mario Kart folder. I think it's just like a.
It's like a
mod. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I don't know. It looks fantastic.
Definitely got to do that. This one's pretty exciting coming up.
Oh yeah, the Streets of Rage composer working on a new Mega Drive game.
Yeah.
So composer, I assume to mean like music, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is working on a Mega Drive game that's a side-scrolling shooter similar to like Gradius, R-Type, that kind of stuff. There always see screen caps, but it looks great, and it's going to be one of those ones that I don't know if it's going to come out with a cart, but it's one that probably
I got to imagine, right?
Playable on an EverDrive or something like that, at least.
Yeah, I got to imagine they're doing some kind of retro cartridge release for this.
A new old release, yeah. I mean, there was a TurboGrafx. There were some TurboGrafx new old releases that were in the news, and I was like, I don't know if it's really worthy of, because they're not like games that you would know. They're just like they're putting them on TurboGrafx cards. So
yeah, I think that's fun. This one, I think you're right. It's like a little different because it's the guy. He also was the game designer on Beyond Oasis, so it wasn't just the music guy, although his music is probably the most famous music of the Genesis with Streets of Rage. This is exciting. I mean, I'm side-scrolling shooters, not necessarily my favorite type of game, but I'll buy this when it comes out for sure.
Shmups.
Yeah,
it's always interesting to me how much like back in the day, individuals had so many different hats.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times nowadays in development or in any kind of workforce, you're very much encouraged to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Except for maybe smaller indie teams and whatnot. But if you're working on a big project for a big company, you're not crossing over into other stuff.
Right.
So it was very common back in the retro days for like somebody to work on the music and then work on the sprites and then work on the level design and like do all that stuff, but then also work like 100-hour weeks.
Also sleeping at their desk. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad things are better now for the most part.
Yeah, I was just watching a video. This video was fucking ridiculous. I think it was from a channel I think called Beat Video Games. But it was an 8-hour video about all of the Castlevania games that have ever come out. 8 hours. So I've been watching it obviously in chunks.
Oh yeah.
But the first 3 games were the NES games, 1, 2, and 3. And he goes into detail about how we never knew who actually designed those games, but now we do because ex-Konami employees have started to speak about it on Twitter, and how this guy who, had created this series was basically like, pushed aside by Konami and never got the recognition he deserved, Really sad.
There was a lot of that too, like developers not getting put in the credits and stuff like that, or their names getting changed.
Yeah,
to like aliases and stuff. Like
that's how it was in Castlevania. They changed it to aliases.
I don't understand that. Like, it's so weird. And none of those developers have any kind of, stock in the re-releases of stuff. There's no what do they call, no royalties or anything, which is super unfortunate and sad, because I think stock options and royalties and stuff is more normal now, but it's still not the norm.
Yeah.
To have some kind of piece of what you're creating, I think is important. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So there's a couple things that you covered here.
Yeah. So this one was interesting. I found this interesting because I wanted to know if you'd actually do this with a Game Gear. There is a new Game Gear consoleizer kit that is being released. For anybody who doesn't know what a consoleizer kit is that they've sold these for Game Boys and Game Boy Advances a lot in the past, where you take the innards out of a functioning Game Boy or Game Boy Advance, or in this case a Game Gear, and you put them into a plastic case with some extra wiring and some extra electronics in it to make it a console that you would hook up to a TV. So it's no longer a handheld. Now it is a Game Gear console. To me, it's interesting because with a Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance, first of all, they're so plentiful that I wouldn't feel that bad about like ripping the core out of one to make a console. But also, there is no equivalent console. I mean, I guess you could put Game Boy cartridges into like the Game Boy Player, but there is no like. It's not like the Game Gear and the Master System, how they're kind of connected, hardware wise, right? They're almost the same hardware, just the screen that's a little different. I don't know. It's very odd to me that somebody would do this, but I'm not throwing any hate at them either. Like, if you want to do it, it's fine by me.
Sure. It seems like it would be a better. This seems like a project of preservation, because there's a lot of those handheld machines, Game Boy or otherwise Game Gear, that are just destroyed.
Yeah.
They either need to be refurbed into a new shell and a new screen and all that stuff, or you can do this kind of thing. Like, they just don't play, right?
Yeah.
And I think for those kind of things, this is a cool option. But from like a budget standpoint, I mean, $160 is not cheap. You can get an EverDrive cart or something around that price tag and play it in an original machine, or
but that's not so this isn't like an EverDrive. This is taking the innards of the Game Gear and making it a console that you hook up to your TV.
Right.
So you can now plug in regular cartridges. Yeah.
So, I get that, and it makes sense. And for a Game Gear, it probably makes more sense than Game Boy games, because Game Boy had Super Game Boy and also the GameCube player, which is pretty expensive to get nowadays to play like Game Boy Advance games and stuff. But the Game Gear didn't really have that, so it makes sense. I for systems that I think make the most sense for this kind of thing is the Virtual Boy, because the Virtual Boy, they've had consoleizers for a while. For the Virtual Boy, they're expensive. They're like $500-$600 to get one of those.
Yeah.
Which I would like to get, because I can't play the Virtual Boy in its original state because it gives me headaches.
Yeah, I think that was why they only sold 7 of them, because it gave everybody
headaches. I have one of the 7, yes. Actually, I have 4 of the 7. But it does take away the 3D effect, which is unfortunate, but at least you can play the games, because some of those games from the Virtual Boy are only on Virtual Boy.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's a cool option for those that are, like, tinkerers, people like to do that refurb stuff, put new shells and new screens on things, so this is just another option for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Kinda cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an option out there for anybody who's looking for it. Actually, the case I think they made for it looks pretty awesome. They have like a white one and a gray one in this article, and I think the white one looks like really kind of neat.
Mm.
I actually don't. I wonder if those are 3D printed shells, and you can just kind of like pick whatever colors you want.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You can
cool.
you can buy them from this site. And now thinking of it too, Game Gears are more often unplayable now than any other handheld, in my opinion. Like Game
Okay.
Boys, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy, those have held up better, and you can play them as long as they're not like corroded battery um, areas and stuff. Because the capacitors in the Game Gear are like out; they're just gone. You could
Yeah,
have a like new, perfectly in good shape Game Gear that won't play any games because the capacitors are blown.
yeah.
So
The TurboGrafx 16 is like that too.
yeah, I have a
Actually,
couple of really good, like, cosmetically, um, clean Game Gears that I need to replace the capacitors on.
yeah.
I can't imagine you probably don't have to replace capacitors to consoleize it, right?
I mean, if you want to function, it's still got to function.
Sure. But I mean, be interesting. Because well, the capacitors are basically, what displays the game onto the screen. So it's more the link between the console hardware and the screen as opposed to, like, actually loading the game, right?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not.
Okay.
I don't know really.
If you have to replace the capacitors and do this, then it makes no sense to me, but okay.
Uh,
Interesting.
so this is a cool article. Big P Emu is an Atari Jaguar emulation that just got released. This actually comes from. Do you remember we were talking about that Atari 50 collection
Yeah,
that came
I
out?
have it.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
gotten
supposed
it yet. I've been hearing great things about it though.
Yeah, yeah.
So that the people who made that, the Atari 50 emulator, they wanted to put some Jaguar games on that game, Atari 50 collection. So they had to make a new emulator because nothing out there was up to their satisfaction. And because they work for an actual company, they could actually throw some money at this. This was Digital Eclipse. And after they were done with it and they released the game, they decided to release the emulator to the public. You can donate.
Nice.
Yeah, you can donate to the guy who made it, but you can just download it. I was actually watching somebody play it online the other day, and it looked near perfect. He's already up to 1.1.
Is that legal to do
What's that?
this? Like, it seems like a conflict of interest to release this when
I
it's
believe
gonna be
he
on a
had the blessing of Digital
Huh,
Eclipse and Atari to do it.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, this is really cool. I mean, this company, like, they went through the process of creating this thing and then released it to the public. I mean, they're not going to put every Jaguar game on that collection, right? And let's be honest, how many Jaguar games do you really want to play? There's like 3. So what? There's the
Do you know the
Alien
names
game,
of them?
Alien, Tempest, and yeah, no, I can't think of a third.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah, this was pretty neat. It's got 4K output and everything. And that's it. That's it for news this week. Jay, do you like Castlevania?
Eh,
Eh.
yeah.
Do you like Sega Master System?
Eh.
Well, boy, do I have the game for you. This week's featured title is Master of Darkness for the Sega Master System. Famously, not so famously because Jay had to tell me this last episode. It never actually came out in the U.S. on the Master System. It came out in Australia, Brazil, and EU. But it did come out in the U.S. on the Game Gear, and it's essentially the same game. except that the view is like zoomed in for the Game Gear's,
Mhm.
the resolution on the Game Gear screen. It came out very late. It was released on the Game Gear actually first in 1992 in Japan, and then North America and the EU in 93. But then it came out later on the Master System in May 93 on the EU, which is, if you think about the timeline there, they released this game on the Master System after the Super Nintendo had been released.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, the Master System to me is crazy. We can talk about the Master System later, but the fact that this thing was, they were making games for this for so long after the Genesis came out is so, like, I had no idea at the time that this was happening. Did you? I mean, no.
I was young. I was a
Yeah.
young buck.
Yeah. I had no idea at the time that this was happening. So to me, it's like the Master System is extremely interesting because there's all these 8-bit games out there that I have had no interaction with, but we're also extremely advanced because they kept working with that hardware for another decade after I, as a player, had moved into the 16-bit and even the 32-bit world.
Yeah.
You know? It's insane. This game is pretty crazy, though. It is definitely a spiritual, let's say, knockoff of Castlevania. It's pretty neat. I think it looks really fantastic. You play as Professor Social, and you are a Ouija board expert. The opening cinematic has you interacting with a Ouija board and hunting Jack the Ripper, who, through a very convoluted story that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, is being controlled by some kind of sorcerer who is then being controlled by Dracula. So you kind of fight through 5 levels, each with about 3 sub-levels, with a boss fight at the end of each one of the levels. And honestly, I thought this game was pretty fun. It was pretty good. Like, if you like Castlevania games, I think you'd like this game too. And it's fun to see with the Master System kind of comes out looking pretty good here. Like, it's a colorful game. It looks nice, plays well.
Yeah,
I
mean,
impressed.
there's some things. Yeah, there's some things that it does arguably better than Castlevania, like the ability to move while you're in the air and stuff like that. The weapon system is a little unique because you can kind of have 2 weapons, right? Or you have kind of the switchable weapons.
Yeah,
And stuff like that.
You have your main weapon, which is usually like a melee weapon. You start off with like a knife, and then you can upgrade to a cane.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of things.
And an axe and like a bunch of different stuff. And then you also have like a sub weapon that is kind of your throwable, and that feels very Castlevania-ish with like an axe that can like do an arc up into the air, and like what I think is like a spike that goes straight. And there's a couple others. A gun.
I think the spike is it's like a, what do they call them? A fencing sword or something.
Oh, really?
It's like, I think it's a sword, like a really thin sword. That thing you're talking about?
Well, there's like one that looks like a triangle that just goes across the screen.
Oh, maybe I didn't see that one.
Maybe it's in later levels.
Yeah, there's some like minor annoyances. You can have like a really good weapon, and then you like you hit one of the masks, and then the dagger falls. And I've fallen victim to accidentally picking that up because positioning or whatever, and then you're like, crap.
Yeah, the dagger sucks. Like, it's a bad base weapon because the weapons, as you get better weapons, they do more damage, like a lot more damage. Like, the difference between hitting a boss like 10 times and 30 times. And also the range on the dagger is like not sufficient to protect yourself.
Yeah. This is like the story of my life. The range is very small, and it's just kind of a sad little weapon. Yeah. I got Briar.
As you go through the game, the weapons definitely get better. I like the cane aesthetically. It's just kind of like a cool thing that you're like this professor going to hunt Jack the Ripper, and your main weapon is a cane. But as you get like the sword, and there's an axe that's like really powerful, but it's got short range, much like the dagger. So you're like, do I want a long range weapon that does a little less damage, but like you can, or do I want the short range weapon that it does? It's a real hammer, but it doesn't quite have the damage. I think it's a nice mix of weaponry. But it does suck that you can accidentally downgrade yourself. And also when you die, you go back to the base weapon, which sucks.
Yeah. Yep. The bats also suck.
Oh man, they're like, they're in every level, and they are completely random. It's not like the Medusa heads in Castlevania that always go across the screen and kind of like in this like wave form. The bats can do that. They can go straight across the screen. They can track straight at your character, or they can just circle around your character, but just outside of reach of your weapon. So they're really annoying. The best way to kill them is usually to just, as soon as you see them, run at them like a maniac and kill them before they like start to fly, if you can. But sometimes it's not an option. This game doesn't have the polish of Castlevania, in my opinion. I think it's the real thing it's missing. There's several times early in the game where I noticed that like you'd walk onto a screen and there's like a fucking enemy, because it does that thing where you scroll through the level and then you get to the end and you kind of like, you touch the edge of the screen and it like shifts you over and puts you on the next screen, and then you start the next like part. And like there's an enemy like right there. Or like if you continue to walk to the right, like through that screen, you fall off a pit. Like it's like, why would you do that? Why would you design that? Like I don't know. Overall, it's definitely, it's lacking that sense of polish that I think like something like Castlevania really is. But
yeah, it's a bit easier than Castlevania 2.
Way easier.
The life bar, you can get hit by like, hit 50 million times before you die.
Yeah, depending on the enemy. The bats, like I think the first hit from a bat doesn't even register on the life bar.
Yeah, it's wild.
But some of the other enemies hit a little harder. The bosses definitely can hit a little harder. But yeah, it's way easier. Like the jump is more forgiving. The knockback is way more forgiving. That's one of the hardest things in Castlevania, right? Is that you get knocked back when you get hit, and a lot of times you get knocked back right off into a pit or something. Yeah, it's way more forgiving. I think like you can probably, if you dedicate yourself for a few hours, you'll probably be able to beat this without too much of an issue. Unless you get so the final level of this game is a maze. And I'll be honest, I had to look up the solution for the maze. I could not figure it out on my own. I wasn't willing to put like untold hours into it. And when I found out that you had to break bricks to get through the maze, I was like, oh, that's kind of disappointing, because that's going to be like, without some kind of a guide or a hint book, that's going to be really hard to figure out.
Some Metroid stuff there.
Yeah, but like you didn't have to do that in any other part of the game up to that point. Like the game didn't train you. I mean, it does do the thing, like it has wall meat, except it's potions. So it does have that, but like I wasn't going around. The game's not so hard that I'm going around looking for wall meat all the time.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. This game, I looked it up, and like at the time it came out, it got like around like 7 8s, and I think that's about right. Like it's 7.5 and 8. I think it's pretty good. If you're like a huge fan of Castlevania, I think you really should check this game out, because it's a Castlevania clone, and it's cool to see what Sega's take on Castlevania was in 1994. Like, they're copying a game that came out in like 1985. It's like 8 years later, they're like, we should check this Castlevania thing out. I hear it's pretty popular.
The music was not my favorite. It was quite repetitive, but
yeah, I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I mean the platforming is nice. It feels beatable. It's not so frustratingly difficult.
Yeah.
And you can take your time with it. It's not forcing you into any kind of speed, really. So, I don't know.
It feels like kind of a low stress game to play. It's pretty nice. I really like the cutscenes too, as they kind of do this like cinematic thing where they're like between each level, they're kind of progressing the story with like text and pictures on the screen. It's just kind of fun, like to get a little bit of story out of it. And once again, I was like, damn, this Master System game looks pretty good. Looks a lot better than anything I've seen on the NES. Like, as far as like colors go, not like artistically, but like I'm having fun like exploring. 2
megabit cart.
That's a big cart.
2 megabit
for a 8-bit cart.
Yeah.
Wild. yeah, it's fun to go back and look at some of these Master System games, man. It's like, the stuff that was coming out so late because, Brazil, the thing about the Master System is they kept making games for it like way later because they had made this deal with like Tectoy in Brazil because Brazil had this weird import regulation where you couldn't. They had this like wild tax that so games would cost like $300 if you didn't make them in Brazil. So like there's a bunch of stuff like that going on in Brazil. Kept playing the Master System for years and years, and then the Genesis for years and years after that. But then I think also in Spain there was something similar. So like Spain was playing the Master System well into the 90s. I don't know. It's just interesting like that they just kept beating this 8-bit box till it was just absolutely making like amazing looking games.
Yeah, I mean the NES had some late games too that came out. A lot of those games were the like really hard to find, rare, expensive ones.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah, that's
Little Samson is one of those, I believe.
Yeah.
This game was also on the 3DS eShop, which I don't know if you can still get it because of the whole eShop going down, but it is the Game Gear version. I imagine it's like $7 or $8, but yeah, I could not find like any information about this game. I just couldn't.
No.
There was like nothing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot about the development, but I would say check this game out. I don't know if I'd go out and buy it. Like it's about $100, I think. Like everywhere I've seen it. The Game Gear version is a little cheaper, but I like playing the Master System version better than the Game Gear version, just because you can see more of the screen because the Game Gear version is kind of zoomed in on your character a little bit, makes it feel a little claustrophobic. But yeah, it's a kind of fun. Like you'll beat this in a weekend, no problem. If you got something like a Mister or Analog Pocket, like it's a great way to go, or any kind of emulation device,
or a web browser,
Yeah, I gotta try playing a game on that.
It's not bad.
That's pretty neat. I mean, the world we live in, where you can just Google a game and be playing it in seconds, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, in like literal seconds.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend checking this out, especially if you're a Castlevania fan or you're just kind of like you're Master System curious,
I'm always Master System curious.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah,
what's you got a pick for next week or the next episode?
Well, we talked about Die Hard.
Yes, Die Hard.
Just your favorite Christmas movie game. It's on NES. So there's that. But you had mentioned that we should do a longer game since we have a month.
Oh, we got a little bit extra time, so like it'd be kind of a good time to sink our teeth into something that may be a little bit longer. I don't know how long Die Hard is, honestly. Is it an RPG?
No.
It looks like
Definitely
Metal
not.
Gear.
Yeah, it's definitely like a platformer, I think.
Interesting.
So, what's a game that you've been wanting to play or that's been topical that's more of a long form RPG or something like that?
That's a good question.
There's always Chrono Trigger, but that's like a 40+ hour game.
I could do Chrono Trigger. That'd be a heck of a Halloween. I gotta tell you, my pickups are big RPG games.
Okay.
But I would like to play Chrono Trigger. We were actually just talking about Chrono Trigger yesterday with Mav, because she just played Chrono Trigger for the first time. She just played through it
I've played it a little bit, but I've never finished it.
Yeah? Well, do you want to play Chrono Trigger?
I mean, it's on my list.
Yeah? Is it too big? Is it too big? Are you too busy to play it?
Maybe.
I would like to play it. I haven't played it since the 90s. Maybe the early 2000s. Oh, you got a complete copy?
Oh, it's like minty. Other than this ding in the top corner, it's real mint.
Nice.
I've had this for a while though. I don't know. There's Earthbound too. Like what would be an appropriate Christmas game, do you think?
I mean, there's snow on the cover.
This is true.
I kind of want to do Chrono Trigger, man. Like now
right.
that you said it, I kind of want to do it.
We'll dip our toes into Die Hard maybe and just kind of check it out for a minute because it's an expensive game.
Die Hard is?
Yeah,
Really?
it's like a $150 to $200 cart.
Oh, was free to play emulated.
Yeah, yeah.
I will not be
So
picking up
maybe
Die
we'll
Hard.
just dip our toes in that for like an hour or two, and then play long form Chrono Trigger.
Okay. I saw that there's an angry video game nerd about Die Hard, so that's not a good sign.
No, I don't think it's a good game at all. Nope.
All right, Chrono Trigger / Die Hard, a 2-for-1 episode coming up. You got any pickups this week, Jay?
I do.
All right, let's see
I'm
'em.
trying to slow down on the Macari stuff, but
Okay.
I haven't yet.
Not going great.
A little
I
bit.
feel like.
Yeah. I'll quickly go through some of these carts real quick. There's stuff that I didn't bring on the show.
Oh.
These are just the ones that made the cut.
Oh man.
So a couple of these are like 3 racing games. I think California Speed for N64, Cruisin' World for N64.
I've been looking for a copy of Cruisin' World. Cruisin'
Really?
World and Cruisin' Exotica I want to buy.
Yeah, I need to get the box for Cruisin' Exotic. I have like the cart and the manuals and everything. I just don't have the box. And then Polaris Snowcross, which is like a it's like a snow whatever it's called,
Snowmobile.
snowmobile type game. I
That's
imagine it's
seasonal.
yeah, it's a racing. Yeah, let's cover snow. Yeah, they actually have this on PS1 as well, I believe.
Do they?
I don't.
I wonder
I
if
don't
it's
think
any
good. There's a Razor scooter game too. NES Akari Warriors 3 or Akari 3, the rescue.
Interesting.
I think this is kind of a fighting. I think it might be like an isometric view type game. I can't remember.
Kari 3 the
Captain
Rescue.
Planet for NES. Captain Planet. He's our hero. Down to 0. You probably didn't watch Captain Planet, did you? You're
Nah.
probably too old.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too old.
I don't have the keyboard for this, but the Miracle piano game.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a piano that you can get that goes, and I think it's kind of like Mario Paint style, but more formal. It's like software, basically. You know,
Yeah,
it's less game
Teach
and
you
more
how
software.
to play piano, right?
Right.
Kind of like Rocksmith.
They have one. They have one for Super Nintendo as well, which is interesting.
Oh,
to me
really?
That they like doubled down and
It must have
for
sold well
another
enough
one.
the first time, right?
I guess so. All right. So literally, this just came in the mail today. I had the cart for this, but now I have it complete in box. Tecmo Cup Soccer,
Oh, neat.
which is it's a fairly rare game. So now I have it complete. I had this cart, but now I have the box, and I got to find the manual. Power Punch 2, which is, I believe we've talked about, originally might have been the successor to Punch Out until
oh, man, it's
Mike
trying
Tyson.
so hard to be the successor to Punch Out too.
Yeah,
Look at that
until
box.
Mike Tyson. This was around the time that Mike Tyson had his falling out with everything.
When he
like
raped
when he
that girl and went to jail.
Yeah. Oh yes, that. So they changed it. It's like fighting aliens, boxing. It's just like a different game.
Yeah.
Snake's Revenge, complete in box for the NES.
Okay.
I believe this is Metal Gear Solid 2, right? Or Metal Gear
Yes, it
2,
is.
basically.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they don't have any inclination that it's connected, other than it's Snake, right?
Yeah.
It's the main character of Metal Gear, but
we all knew at
doesn't
the time
say-
that it was Metal Gear 2.
right, but
For
it doesn't
sure.
say like anywhere. I didn't even realize that it was made by Ultra. Was the first one also made by Ultra?
I don't know. Honestly, I
This is a
would have
gray
said
box
Konami,
game.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I like the
And then
cover
the-
though.
Yeah, the coup de grace here. I've been wanting to get this complete in box for a while. Contra
Oh, that's a
Hardcore for the
cool-ass
Genesis.
game. Yeah, that's complete in blacks. How much does that go
Yep.
for?
Let
Let me guess. 150.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I got it. I was worried because there's a Majesco version of this with the cardboard box and
Oh,
the
okay.
black and white manual, and I got this on eStar Land, and it said complete. Didn't say if it was the cardboard box version or the clamshell version, and fortunately, it was the clamshell version, so I'm pretty happy.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great game too.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I don't love Contra games.
No, not a big fan.
No. I mean, I'm not a good enough gamer, I feel like.
Oh,
So, what are your pickups?
well, someday we're gonna have to do a Contra game.
Yeah, we haven't done any yet.
No, that's surprising too. We're gonna have to do all of the Castlevanias too. I hate to tell you.
Oh, joy.
My first
Have we
pickup.
even done a Zelda? Have we even done a Zelda game other than Link to the Past? We haven't done the original.
Did we
Zelda
even do
yet
Link
either.
to the Past? Did we do Link to the Past?
We did Link to the Past. It was one of the first ones that we did. I think.
Did we?
I
Okay.
think so. I believe so. Might have been like first 3 games we covered, 4,
All right.
5, something like that.
I would do another Zelda. Honestly,
Force my ass to play Zelda.
you didn't like Link to the Past that much. It wasn't.
I want to love Zelda so much.
Mm.
I want to, and I just don't.
Yeah, I know what
I
you mean.
keep wanting to like. I don't know. They're like so just the. I have a hard time playing a game and not doing everything, and I have a hard time playing a game where you have to have information to beat it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't just play it. You have to like know where everything is, or like explore to ad nauseum until you find it, or I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how the original Zelda games were.
Yeah, when I play those games now, I'm very much looking stuff up because even with what was the Game Boy one that just recently came out redone
Link's
as a Switch game?
Awakening.
Link's Awakening. Like I got super confused. I had to like talk to like one dude on one side of the map and then like this real obscure thing on the other side of the map. I was like, what is even going on? So
Right.
But yeah, Link to the Past does do that. I played that at the time, and so it's like the nostalgia factor I think is so real for me that I couldn't even separate it to like if I wanted to review that game as like in a professional way. I don't think I could do it.
I did. That was one of the first, like when we started this, that was one of the
Yeah.
first games I actually like beat. I was like, I want to beat Link to the Past, like so I can have an opinion. It's the same thing with Chrono Trigger. Like I want to beat it so that I can have a formal opinion on it. And
Well,
Link to
Chrono
the Past,
Trigger's less like that.
right? It's more linear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I probably will like more.
And story driven, very much.
Right. But I played Link to the Past on stream, and if I didn't play it on stream and basically ask chat for help, like I would have been hopeless.
Well, no shame in that.
Because they were like, you have to go to the top right corner to get into a thing to get into the bottom middle spot. It's like, what? Doesn't make any sense.
Don't you have Nintendo Power from 1993? The August Nintendo Power.
$1.99 a minute hotline.
Well, I'm looking forward to Chrono Trigger, but I'm not looking forward to my pickup, which I just bought because it's part of the Street Fighter series. This is Street Fighter 2010, starring Ken in the future of 2010.
Future.
This game, it plays a little bit like Strider for the NES, where it's kind of this like action platformy game, but it's not very good. Honestly, the only reason I bought it is because it says Street Fighter on it, and I'm just a huge Street Fighter fan. It's
not an expensive game either.
No, it's like $10. It's just a novelty. I just saw it at the local game shop, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pick one of these up. I actually was there because I was looking for Wii controllers, like Wii remotes, which apparently are like incredibly hard to find nationwide since the pandemic. Like everybody went back and was hooking up their Wiis, wanted to play some Wii Sports and get nostalgic with the Wiis. And there was a run on Wii controllers, and now they're like wicked rare. Like they're really hard to find, like official Nintendo ones. Like even on eBay and stuff.
Good condition ones, yeah.
Even on eBay and stuff, like it's hard to find them. Like you can find a ton of like fake ones,
third party ones.
Yeah, but it's really hard to find official ones. So I actually ended up buying a Wii so I could get like the controllers that came with it, which cost about $70. And I didn't get like the original white one that stands vertically. I got like the second generation,
the red and black one.
The red and black one, which I thought was kind of neat. And unfortunately, I left it downstairs. I would show it to you, but I also picked up the reason behind all this was I finally bought Tatsunoko versus Capcom, the fighting game, which I've been kind of eyeballing for a couple of years, honestly, because I love, again, Street Fighter games. And this is, if you can imagine, a Marvel versus game, but with like kind of anime characters from this like Tatsunoko franchise or company. I'm not really familiar with where they come from that much, but it's Marvel versus Capcom, except without the Marvel license. It's got this Tatsunoko, and it only ever came out for the Wii. It's not a super expensive game, but I found a pretty good copy of it for about $50, which seemed to be about fair for it. And it came with the manual and everything, but I threw it into my Wii U thinking, okay, I'll just play it with a Wii U on the gamepad. You need to have a Wii U remote to play a Wii game on a Wii U.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I didn't know that. I don't have any Wii remotes anymore. We gave them
and
to
you use they have the Wii gamepads too.
Yeah, I don't have any of that stuff. We gave all our Wii stuff away to my kids' cousins many years ago. So we don't have any of it. So, like, well, we're going to need a Wii. The kids are going to get nostalgic for this stuff eventually, too. So we're going to need to start building this thing back up. So I was able to pick up a Wii for about $60. It came with one controller, one nunchuck. And then my wife was like, I told this story to my wife. And she's like, oh, I know there's like a Wii remote right down here. I'm like, oh, fuck. You just could have saved me like $70. If you...
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I've been playing Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Yeah. Awesome. Which is a pretty fun game. It doesn't look that good. I'd recommend emulating it. It looks way better in 4K than it does on a Wii.
480p, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rough 480p, too. You can play it at 4K, or you can play it at 480p. I also finally picked up Live Alive. This is like the I guess you'd call it a remaster of a Super Famicom game that never came out in America. They finally brought it out in this like HD 2D reimagining. So this is actually, I was planning on playing this, but I might be playing Chrono Trigger instead of this. And then this came out today, Crisis Core Reunion, which is a remaster of Crisis Core for the PSP. And I bought it on the PS5. This looks fantastic. I'm also planning on playing this because I fell in love with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I actually never played Crisis Core. I tried to buy it one time off of eBay, and I got the Russian copy, which was not what I was looking for.
No. I just realized that I also have this.
Oh, that's actually really expensive, isn't it? The Nintendo DS version of Chrono Trigger?
$100-ish, but like some people say this is a better version than the SNES version.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I have no idea. I just forgot that I had that.
So I've never owned a copy of Chrono Trigger at all. The only time I've ever played it was on a compact. I played it twice. I started it on a compact, basically like a color Palm Pilot. I had loaded the ROM onto that thing and started on that and found that to be undoable. So I loaded the ROM onto a Dell Inspiron work PC, a laptop that I had stolen from work because I was an IT guy, and that's what we do. We steal all of that shit.
Yeah.
And I played through it on a laptop in probably 2005, 2002 maybe. That's probably still when Chrono Trigger. I could have gone to a store and bought Chrono Trigger for $10.
Yeah, I think the only time I played any of Chrono Trigger, might have played like 5-ish hours, was emulating it on a PSP in like 2005.
Nice. Well, I'm kind of jealous that you have the DS version. Are you gonna play the NES version or this?
I'll look up. We'll look up all the information.
Can you save your game on a browser?
Probably not.
I'm gonna play it on my Pocket. I'll be honest with you.
You can't play it on the Switch at all yet, but it is on Google Play for $10.
Interesting.
You can play it on your.
So you can play it, on, your
play it on your phone. Which I can't imagine it's terrible if you have.
It's not on the Switch. What the hell, Square?
It's not on the Switch at all yet.
They probably want to do. You know, didn't they just came out with Chrono Trigger remake? Didn't they? Is that out?
Wait, what? What did you say? You just said Chrono Trigger remake.
They just did a Chrono Trigger remake, which is a sequel to Chrono Cross. Came out on the PlayStation.
There's a Chrono Trigger remake?
Yeah. Remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it.
Chrono Trigger. This game.
No, Chrono Cross. Chrono Cross remake.
You said Chrono Trigger remake.
Chrono Cross. I don't know what I said. Maybe you're right. They just came out with a Chrono Cross remake, which is the sequel to Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Did I mix those two up? Did I?
Yeah, a little bit. It's okay.
All right.
I feel like it's imminent. Maybe in the next month there will be an announcement, and then we'll have been geniuses.
That
for
would be
picking this game.
beautiful. But then I'll be like, damn, I wish I waited for the remake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could experience both. But
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
true.
can also play this on PS1 with the collection or whatever, the PS1 Chrono Cross collection thing, I believe.
Oh, really?
There's
We're gonna have
the-
to do some research.
Yeah.
Are we
there's a lot
gonna
of-
like we're not gonna say which version to play. Just play some version of Chrono Trigger.
You can also play it on Steam, I think. So it's accessible. $15 on Steam.
I kind of want to just play the Super Nintendo version on the Pocket.
Probably be solid. It was decent on the PSP back in the day, which is a similar screen size. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, I can also plug it into the TV.
True.
Okay. Well, we'll figure something out.
Sweet. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm
I
not.
gotta
I'm
figure
not
out
that
a way-
excited for Die Hard. I'm a little bit excited for Die Hard because just to see how bad it's gonna be.
So the next episode is the 10th of January. I'll be out of town the week before, so maybe I'll play it on the. I don't know if there's any way for me to like transfer a save from the SNES version to the Pocket. I'm so scared to travel with the Pocket. I am terrified without any proper protection, like a phone.
Oh yeah, you don't want to travel across state borders without protection. Just get one of them Waterfield things. Just get a case for it or a sock. Just throw it in a sock. Just get a nice wool sock. It'll be fine.
Is that a euphemism?
No, maybe it could be. I guess.
Put it in the sock.
Clean sock. Look for a
My
clean
mom
sock.
told me that. My mom told me that when I was younger. It's fine.
What's that?
Put it in the sock.
Really?
It's a sex joke.
I know. All right. I think that's going to wrap this one up. What else you got going on? You got anything coming up?
We had the charity stuff last week, so now I'm just trying to catch up on the season of Destiny and whatnot. Maybe I'll play some Chrono Trigger on stream. Who knows?
Oh, that'd be fun. If you are,
Yeah.
make sure you tweet about it so I can watch. Although you
Yeah, if
you
you're gonna-
stream so late at night.
You're gonna
I'd
be up
love
at
to
2 in the
watch.
morning your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All good.
I
What
can
about
always
you?
watch a replay though. Are your replays public?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think
What
that's
are you
gonna
gonna be
wrap
up
this
to?
one up. Oh, I don't know. Honestly,
Christmas.
I have been so sick. This is like the
Right.
first week I'm feeling really good. Like I'm feeling
That's
like 100%. I went to see the trainer for the first time in 2 weeks, and this motherfucker took no pity on poor me. No pity. I am
We gotta
sitting
catch you
here
back up.
in pain. I'm sweating. I'm in so much pain. I'm sweating. This, you know what he doesn't know, is that he can only get away with this because he's bigger than me. He is, he's strong, but he is training me. He is working my ass to the point where I am going to beat his ass for what he's done to me. As soon as I can.
You're beating my ass so much, I'm gonna beat your ass.
Yes. I'm coming for you, Dominic. You sadist.
From Gears of War.
All right, guys. Thank you, Jay. That was a lot of fun. It was always good to see you. I will see you in a month. Have a wonderful Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, whatever you guys celebrate. Fucking enjoy it and enjoy your family and enjoy your friends.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Bye.